What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man. I'm gonna go on with the subject of the day, which is the incredibly ridiculous circumstance that we're in, where Anthony Joshua seems as if he's considering not accepting a $50 million minimum deal to fight Deontay Wilder. Now, Frank Warren, who's a promoter from the UK, has came out and gave his thoughts on the situation, and pretty much said that the reason that the fight's not happening is because Eddie Hearn doesn't want it, and otherwise that this is an easy deal to make. He said that when Eddie Hearn offered $12.5 million or whatever it was, 8.6 million pounds, and to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's team says, no, we don't want it. And they come back with an offer of $50 million. He said $12 million to have it in the UK. And then they say no. Deontay Wilder's team turns around and offers him $50 million to have it in the US. Frank Warren said that's a done deal. It's easy. There's nothing to think about. That Al Heyman has done huge deals before. He just did fights that were much bigger than this. And you know that Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel are good for the money. You accept that dollar amount. You ask for it to be the money to be shown to you to put it in, a bank, to put it in escrow or show that the funds are available. And then you sign the contract. Now, the contract, I'm saying the contract being the formal document where everything, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. That's different from accepting the offer of the money. Because when somebody says, will you accept the offer for these financial terms? Then I'll put the money where you can see it. It would be a little bit ridiculous to ask Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel to put $50 million in a bank before you're into an escrow account or into however they're going to verify that the funds are available for you before you say that money is good for you. Because what happens if they turn around and say, okay, well, no, we want 60 million. He already put $50 million there. You see the 50 million and they say, no, we want 60. What are they supposed to go back to the bank? They're supposed to go back to their financiers and say, oh no, he wants 60. That's not a practical thing. If $50 million guaranteed minimum with the 50-50 split, you know whether that's good or not. So you accept that. Or you don't accept it. But you accept it. Once you say yes, then you say, okay, I accept it. Contingent upon me seeing this money. You see the money. The money's there. Okay, great. Now send me the 1, 2, 3 page contract. Because like Frank Warren said, and I'm going to lean unto his understanding, that this is not a promotional contract. It's a one-off fight. So the contract's not even going to be that complicated. And you do it. But he was asked, well, why do you think that he wouldn't make the fight? Oh, he wouldn't make the fight because he's scared of losing Anthony Joshua. He's afraid of losing his fighter, of losing the control over the situation. And that's what I had said, that Matchroom Boxing was scared of losing control over the situation, losing control over Anthony Joshua, and having to give up a significant amount of the upside. Because it could anything over $50 million, it becomes a 50-50. You get 50-50 of anything that happens above and beyond $50 million. So if it gets to be 100 million, then it's 50 million, 50 million, not 60 million, 40 million. But anyway, that's what Frank Warren said about it. But I'm pretty sure that there's a way that Eddie Hearn can make this go away. Because I did a video where I said, it doesn't make sense. Anthony Joshua would be the dumbest dude in the history of heavyweight boxing if he didn't take that deal. But I've changed my mind because there is something, and I thought about it, there is something he can do that would make it worth turning down that deal. And it's to turn to Eddie Hearn and say, Eddie, put $50,001 in an escrow account and guarantee it to me. And then do 50-50. You give me the same deal that they gave me. And then do a 70-30 split. Do a 50, do a 51-49 deal. If you can negotiate that, cool. Give Deontay Wilder his 12, give him 18%. Do whatever. He doesn't even have to care what Anthony Joshua gets, what Deontay Wilder gets. Just have Eddie Hearn guarantee him $50 million, $50 million and $1 in a fight, and then tell him, yeah, I'll turn that deal down because you're going to pay me more. Just make sure the fight happens. If you can't get them to agree to your deal, then I'm going with their deal because you're not going to give me $50 million or give me $50 million for any fight that you want to name. And I'll say no. Then he wouldn't be dumb to turn it down. If he can get $50 million for Pulev, or he can get $50 million for Povetkin, or if he can get $50 million for Dillian White, or $50 million for whoever in his next fight, then by all means, turn that offer down and fight for that $50 million. That's 36 million pounds in the UK. If Eddie Hearn can do that, then he would be a smart young man to turn down the offer from Deontay Wilder. If he cannot do that, he needs to take that deal because it's a no-brainer. And Frank Warren saying so, come on, man. He's telling the truth. That's not a difficult proposition. Take the fight. Now, the other thing that Frank Warren talked about, I thought was real interesting, was he talked about Tyson Fury and how Tyson Fury could very well be the biggest fight that could happen in the UK. And it could be. And it might be in the UK. It would probably be just as big, or it might even be bigger. I would even favor it to be bigger in the UK than a Deontay Wilder fight versus Anthony Joshua in the UK. So, hey, see if you can convince Frank Warren see if you can convince Eddie Hearn to give you $50 million guaranteed, or 36 million pounds guaranteed to fight Tyson Fury in the UK. Because that's the biggest fight that's going to happen in the UK, but we know that there's not that much money in the entirety of the damn fight. There might be $40 million, 40 million pounds in the entire fight against Tyson Fury. 1 million pay-per-view buys, 90,000 seats. You get you get $8 million, 8 million pound gate. 8 million pound gate. You get a 17 million pound pay-per-view. I don't know where else the money's coming from, dog, to tell you the truth. Because I think it's 40. Maybe I'm sure that there's some other stuff going in there. Because what is the Klitschko? They said the Klitschko fight was $53 million. I think that was 40 million. Roughly 40 million pounds was the entire financial ecosystem of the fight. Eddie Hearn cannot match that offer. Matchroom can't match it in the UK. But in the United States, Al Heyman and those guys have a chance to match it. They have a chance to match it. If they make that offer is realistic. Eddie Hearn can't make that offer in the UK. There's no way. He would literally have to be paying for it and he couldn't find a financial backer for that. I doubt very much that he can make an argument and it says, look, what's the biggest fight we've ever done? The biggest fight you've ever done in the UK, right? That's Vladimir Klitschko versus Anthony Joshua. That's the biggest fight. And the entire fight was worth 40 million pounds. And you want to guarantee Anthony Joshua 36 million pounds? You can't do it. Because you got to pay the other guy. Who's he going to fight? That is going to be worth pay-per-view. Who are you going to pay $500,000 for? Who are you going to pay $500K £500,000 to fight Anthony Joshua to pay him his 36 million pounds. I would love to hear some some Eddie Hearn fans explain to me how he could do that. How that is even remotely possible. It's not. It's not possible. Is it possible in the US? Absolutely, it's possible in the US. All they need to do is 750,000 pay-per-view buys, and there you are. 700,000 pay-per-view buys, and there you are. You're there. That $30 million gate, you're there. You're right there, and it can do that. But most importantly, they have the ability, and Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel have the ability to get the money because they have a track record of making fights like that, where they can find somebody that might be willing to take a risk on losing some money. And since they just did a $500 million fight, their coffers might be full enough to take a hit. And since their business model isn't necessarily on profit and per fight is building the brand, like Eddie Hearn's trying to do, but in this case, somewhere where there's enough money to really do it in a massive sense, because Eddie Hearn's trying to come to the United States. So anyway, man, that's what I think would need to happen in order for Anthony Joshua to turn down that money, is ask Eddie Hearn to match it. And that's reasonable. If you have an employee that works for you and they're making $100,000 and somebody comes and offers them $300,000 to go work for them, your employee, you can say, I love you very much, man. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. Thank you for you hired me out of school. You taught me everything I know. Thank you, gave me sick days when I was sick. But they're offering me $300,000. I would love to stay with you. Can you match it? Can you pay me $300,000? If you pay me $300,000, I will stay. Absolutely. And we can continue to grow this great thing that we're growing. But if you can't match it, then I'm going to have to I have to think of my family. I have to think of my kids. It's going to take me 3 years to earn with you what I can earn in 1 year with them. Do you have some ownership percentage? Not ownership percentage. No, I'm not really. I mean, yeah, I know what you want to give me 20% ownership in the company. No, because I like money. I like cash. My mama told me, that cash is king. Remember when cash is king? I want the money up front. Okay, I don't want promises of what it can be together in 10 years from now, because this offer might be gone. So, can you offer me the same amount of money or not? If you can't, hey, it was a pleasure working with you. Maybe, in the future we can work together again. I have a real good friend of mine that just got out of college. Hey, they know they are very, very good. They're not quite as good as me, but hey, man, they can fill my role pretty well. And, hopefully, you won't lose too much. But I got to go take this money. That's the same situation that Anthony Joshua should hold Eddie Hearn to. Look, man, I know, yep, you got me a gold medal. Yeah, I was a gold medal Olympian. You're right. I was living with my mother. I wasn't making a lot of money. You're right. We've had a beautiful 21 fight. We've had a beautiful 20 fights together. I went to making, the good money I'm making now. Eddie, you and I both know you're not paying me the money that you're telling them you're paying me. But, it's good money. You got me a scaffolding. You did. You're right. I got a scaffold company that's sponsoring me. Yeah, I got an Under Armour. I got an Under Armour sponsorship. Thanks, man. I'm making some good money. But this guy just offered me in one fight what it might take me 4 fights to get with you, Eddie. Honestly, 4. Let's not talk about the numbers you're throwing out there to the fans. Let's talk about the number that I'm seeing. It would take me several fights to get there, and I might lose. And maybe I can ask them, can I get a rematch clause? Can I get a rematch clause? And in the rematch, hey man, there won't be a guarantee in a rematch. That's fine. I don't even need a rematch guarantee in a rematch. But Eddie, can you match it? Can you match it? Can you get that much money for me for Povetkin? Can you get that much money for me for Dillian White? Just show me the money and I'll stay. Otherwise, you have to accept this contract or I'm not going to fight. Fuck you and your belts. You can't force me to fight. My name is big enough where I will explain to everybody around that I couldn't pass that fight up. And let's see what you can do with Dillian White. Have Dillian White get the belt. See if people love Dillian White. Whatever Anthony Joshua has to do. But it's still the basic conversation. Can you match it? And if you can't match it, I got to move on. Not complicated. And just like just like Frank Warren says, hey, this is a no-brainer deal. That type of deal, that gigantic gap in money, come on, man. You just go ahead and take it. But to be fair to Eddie Hearn, you just give him the right of first refusal. Can you match it? If you match it, you got me. If you can't match me, accept the contract and let's move on. Because I'm not going to fight for you for 12 million pounds. I'm not. 15 million pounds when I can get 36 million pounds. I'm not going to fight for you for 20 million pounds when I can get 36 million pounds. I'm not leaving 16 million pounds. I'm not leaving 16 million pounds on the table, Eddie. That's just logical. You're a businessman, Eddie. I'm a businessman. Match the offer. Match room, match it. Make match room, match the offer. And then you should be able to go on ahead and do whatever you want to do. Deontay Wilder is a voluntary. They can't force you to fight him. But you should have a voluntary. And with $50 million, I would say, hey, look, but what about this mandatory I got over here with Pulev? Well, WBA, you get sanctioning fees. I'm putting my belt on the line over here in this $100 million fight. You're going to get your sanctioning fees. Why don't you not stand to the side? How about I give you $100,000 to push that off? Whatever you got to do, man. But Frank Warren is telling the truth, man. And note, in this video, I've not done anything that was pro Deontay Wilder. I didn't call Anthony Joshua ass juice. I didn't say that he was scared. I didn't say any of that. I'm just saying that the guy needs to accept this fight, and the only reason for him not to accept the fight is if Matchroom Boxing matches the offer. If you can't match the offer, accept the offer. Just like you were at a regular job. If you're working for $100,000 a year and somebody walks up to you who already pays people more than that and says, I want to hire you for 3 times as much as what you're getting right now. I need for you to accept this offer within the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, I got to hire somebody else. Are you willing to do it? Well, do I have to move my kids? No, you don't have to move your kids. No, you don't have to do that. Or, yeah, you do. You got to move a state over for $300,000, whatever, but we'll pay for your relocation fees. Are you going to not turn that job down because of something your current employer promises you off in the future? If you're working for Allstate Insurance and you're making $100,000 and State Farm Insurance offers you $300,000, you're not going to take that because of your loyalty to Allstate? No, you move from the north side of Chicago, the far north suburbs of Chicago, down to the middle of Illinois and count your money. And that's what Anthony Joshua should do. And Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren and the fact that Frank Warren is saying it, it just tells you even more so that that's the truth. Eddie Hearn, he's telling the truth. which is something Eddie Hearn should practice doing more often, but really isn't in his his arsenal very often. But this is a no-brainer deal, and your boy Frank Warren co-signed on it and said this is just a fight that you take, and if it's going to the United States, you go to the United States and do it. And the only reason that this fight wouldn't happen would be Eddie Hearn wanting to make sure that he keeps control over his employee. And I don't think that's right for Anthony Joshua. And again, the second pro Anthony Joshua video. And with that, I'm out. Peace.